Let me explain something to you that every single one of you out there will agree with, no matter who you are, where you come from, or what you believe in. I'm going to explain something very careful about voices in our mind, right? Something all of us need to observe. Think about all the addictions around the world, right? Think about how many people are dealing with demons in their mind, right? Dealing with themselves with stress and anxiety, confusion, frustration, delusion, or paranoia, right? Take drugs to numb themselves, happy pills. You know, mental disorder's gone through the roof, right? Okay? And we all suffer from that sometime. Think about this. If you go to a psychiatrist, okay, and if you tell a psychiatrist, right, if a psychiatrist is talking to you and if you're talking to yourself, it's classified as normal to talk to yourself. But if you say you're talking to someone else, it's classified you have psychosis. Now, the biggest biologist in the world today, and the top scientist and psychiatrist, has discovered we convey feelings to thoughts from an outside influence in our reality. So when we think negatively and with a high IQ on 5 senses, we think too much and we talk to ourselves. But the fact is this, we discovered that we convey feelings to thoughts with our body cells. It goes into DNA, which is NMR technology, and then it dissects what the message is. And it works like lightning, faster than any other radio wave, because we're incredible with this kind of technology in our DNA. But we convey feelings to thoughts. So we explain in our own biological language, in our own voice, and we think we're talking to ourselves. So it's a magnificent system, right? When you think about how to use your tools right and think outside the mind with another influence that repairs our body cells when we're asleep, to think instinctively in the most positive fields and not to think with a high IQ, where the voices are in our mind that deceives us all the time, because it's like they have a personality. So we discovered this, right? That the voices in the mind are ultimately designed for human extinction because it's only a personality. It's not our moral instincts. To think outside the mind with our instincts is to think with our moral instincts in the most positive fields. And then we have another voice in the mind that guides us through our heart to feel things like the light bulb idea, the picture that tells you 1,000 words that cannot lie to you, but the voice in your mind can. This explains why people become selfish, egotistical, judgmental, competitive, or live in their own bubble, their own truth in some sort of comfort zone by using the same tools, because they're weak, right, and they're nervous, and they're controlled by fear, stress, and anxiety. And everybody is to one degree or another. That's why we see so many people conquer, debate, and divide, and using the same tools with egotism, because they come to their conclusion with reason with a high IQ. That only makes them good at what they do, but not intelligent. Now, if you can understand that, mental disorders have gone from 2% in 1960 to 54% by 2019, accelerating 7 times faster, and that's been confirmed 3 months ago. That mental disorders and D&D effects are going through the roof, so is the use for methamphetamine and ADHD medication. It's gone through the roof as well. So 93% of people on DNA tests now take drugs to numb themselves because they can't cope. 93% of people die every day from stress-related diseases. We can see it in their DNA and their body cells. So we're not in the right mindset. End of story. Okay, we've got a lot to gain because we've all got 7,000 defective genes in our DNA, because our body cells can corruption, collusion, and we're disconnected from our own biological genes to think with our natural organic motor skills, to think outside the mind with our sixth sense, not to think with the mind, right, and constantly entertaining the same things with the same tools that we use non-stop. We think psychologically and mentally with a high IQ 95 to 99% time, and we're supposed to think instinctively 95 to 99% time. So we're totally inverted from our natural organic motor skills. That means our face system is 10 times more powerful than our reality, with a placebo effect, proven on documents, right? Proven in some of the biggest tests ever done in the world, right? We strip from our face system and using our biological genes. So, you know, you could see this for however you want, but there's voices in people's mind. That's why it's been declared to be ultimately designed from an extinction. In the biggest health research ever conducted, we discovered there are people going to court every day and they commit crime because the voice tells them to. We have people in every prison system in the world because they kill when the voice tells them to. We have discovered people that OD on drugs or die 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times quite often die because the voice tells them they're going to die, and then they do. And some of them were lucky enough to come back to tell their story. But it's from voices in their mind. We know in every mental disorder tablet, right? Every mental disorder research done all over the world, we know people have voices in their mind, whether they think they're talking to themselves or not. We know it's the same application. So when a scientist says, if you're talking to yourself, it's normal, or if you're talking to someone else, it's psychosis, it's the same thing. You convey feelings to thoughts with your own biological language and explain it yourself. So it doesn't matter what you think. The voices controls us with that mindset we live in, regardless of who it is. It's an outside influence reality. That's why our body repairs when we're asleep, but not when we're awake, because we're disconnected from these abilities to think instinctively. And that's what's happened with social engineering, programming, and changing and twisting the fabric of truth through cultures. And that's been happening for the last 60 years. Culture's changing for the last 120 years. Where they change your culture so much when we normalised what's moral yesterday non-stop and twist the fabric of truth so far we don't even know what the truth is anymore. We only know the normal we come into this world with, but the normal we come into this world with wasn't normal neither. That's why none of us are human anymore. Can use our natural organic motor skills. So we have voices in our mind that controls us all the time. And listen to me, I go into a lot of education how to be free from this and find the cure of the human condition that's going to save humanity, the holy grail of understanding yourself biologically, instinctively, psychologically, and spiritually, and how your tools really work. And we give the best education in the world and have the greatest success rate in the whole world to do this, to go back to our primal motor skills and to think instinctively and not to think mentally, right? Because that's what the problem is with our high IQ. That only makes us good at what to do, but collapsing our biological genes and collapsing our immune system so dramatically we have no idea. And we don't believe in it. It's a fact. And if we can't wake up to this, we'll never change the circumstances. We have to change mankind from the way he thinks and the way he thinks and the way he judges all the time, because he's become competitive, selfish and egotistical, right? And consumes 7 times more than he needs and he requires, because he's consuming all the products and making every wrong decision with all the tools that he's using that are totally inverted and brought up with atheism tools on reverse psychology, right? With a high IQ that only makes you good at what you do. So thinking outside the mind is where you're highly intelligent with your basic common sense, with your sixth sense, right? With 8 specific tools that are coded in our DNA. And I'll go into a lot of details about this and explain that perfectly correct. Now, the thing is, it's declared that we have voices in our mind. It's also declared that we don't die. They have that with evidence. It's also declared that now they know that God does exist with these tools. That's also been declared. The book of life has been declared. DNA is the book of life. And that no scientist in the world or anyone could ever have created by any Big Bang Theory. It's proven that every gene in our body, right, every single gene inside us, every single gene, the chance of happening, right, through a Big Bang Theory, by coincidence or by chance, like the evolution theory, the chance of that is like 78,000 times 1 in one gene. There's 1 out of 78,000 times 78,000, right, to 1. If you times 78,000 by 78,000 from 2 chromosomes, the chance of that happening, right, with a Big Bang Theory, is 1 chance out of millions. Like, it's nearly impossible. Each gene, when you add up how many genes there are in every biological system, right, and you understand the odds of 1 gene being created like this way, you understand that the system is so sophisticatedly set up that it's been declared it could only have been created by someone that we refer to as our creator, God, because it's that highly intelligent. It could never have happened, right, by a Big Bang Theory or by coincidence. So now DNA has been declared the book of life. The book of life. And that God does exist, no matter what atheist tools people use in the world. That's what's coming out in the world. That's what they're suppressing from you. That's what's being moved by the world transformation movement, by the top bowlers and scientists of the world. They know God exists and what our primal state is and how to use our natural organic motor skills so we can all do what Jesus can and more. And that's what they're suppressing from you, right? That's what they're entertaining and distracting you for. And you don't even seem to know that. We have the evidence and every single thing biologically and scientifically to prove that not only Jesus is real, but that we have these tools embedded in our DNA, and we need to think differently and think outside the mind and go back to primal state to think instinctively 99% of the time, and we have these tools. We can repair genes down the immune system and we can transform. That's why it's called the World Transformation Movement. We're going to transform life in this world. Through our biological genes, where our DNA changes, our cells changes, and we start to go through a great awakening from chain after chain after chain that's wrapped around us. We're in a long dark tunnel, and there's thousands and thousands of rabbit holes we've got to get through, like multiple chains wrapped around us. And we're going through a process of a transformation. And it's going to take a long time. It's not going to happen overnight. You can't just get information and more information and think more critically and think they're the tools, because they're the ones you have to learn to let go of. You have to let go of all those tools you've been educated with, right? And you've got to allow yourself to go through the light of the inner tunnel. And it's a really long, dark tunnel with a lot of rabbit holes. You're going to break free all the time from one step to another. You're going to get head spins. You're going to feel weak. Your body cells are going to go on fire. You're going to feel atmosphere changing. You're going to feel the frequency changing. You're going to feel a lot of weird things you can't explain. And you won't know how to talk about it neither, because it's methodological. But we're going through a transformation, and we're breaking free from chain to chain to chain that's wrapped around us. And it's a long process. It doesn't take overnight. Live in a time where time stands still and light preserves. Be patient, right? Patience is a virtue, right? Don't be fast-tracked into nowhere. Patience is a virtue, right? That's where you'll go great wisdom and knowledge from. Sevenfold wisdom and knowledge is coming your way. You don't even know it. It comes automatically and organically. You don't need to think about it. You just need to use 8 tools of righteousness and have that relationship with those frequencies coded in your DNA, and believe me, it happens automatically. Sit back and enjoy the ride. Live every day as if it's your last. Keep a great sense of humor and your moral values in the right place, right? Believe me, instead of living in such a timeline where it's just new shit, different day, alter that, reverse it. Every day is the same. Live in a time where time stands still. New shit every day, right? Change the shit every day, because every day becomes different when you sit in a time where time stands still. And then you're not fast-tracked into nowhere, because everybody else will be. They'll be going fast-tracked into nowhere with all the tools they use. With stress and anxiety, confusion, frustration, delusion, because they keep hanging on to this way of thinking. And they don't want to let go. So their forefathers' footsteps with their mental behavior with high IQ will keep them in that mindset, distract them all the time, and they will go into the mass extinction without even realizing it, because they're controlled by negative vibrations. When they live in a delusion, they're in comfort zone, in some kind of their own truth, they manifest themselves, they're in the same mindset. It doesn't matter what they think. When they're selfish, egotistic, judgmental, competitive, or can't handle truth, can't face it, can't deal with it, or live in some sort of comfort zone, they're the same tools, because they can't release this world and they want to save it. And they're so scared and controlled by the fear, right? And sensitive and highly emotional. And that's a fact. Let go. Do not have any fear. You will not have a death experience. There's nothing in this world of fear, because you don't die. But it's the mind that controls us, because it's complicated. And we keep hanging on to it with the way we think, the way we judge, and every conclusion we come to, we've got to learn to release that. Think outside the mind. Have faith that you have another ability to think outside the mind that's way beyond your mindset, and you don't understand it. Not until you break free and stick your head through the light of the inner tunnel. Then you realize you have amnesia. That means you don't know. You don't know what's holding on to you, because of the mind, the voices in your mind are ultimately designed for extinction. The skull, you're warned in Revelation, it's true. It's on documents, for God's sake. They know what they're doing. Right? They're deceiving and distracting people, and they know it's the greatest tool for the depopulation plan, all in psycho programs and all in your mind, but the tools you use, nothing else matters. Believe me or trust me, I know. Every single thing you've been deceived with and everything you're distracted with is all part of a process to wake up from every single thing and stop thinking that way and stop entertaining the same tools, because they're going faster into nowhere, but they're in extinction, but you're not. Not if you don't have faith in it. Right? You don't have a death experience, man. It's all by design. Right now, we're dividing between 2 different dimensions. And one dimension is going to go into absolute harmony, where you're going to be free in ways you don't understand. No more stress, pain, and fear. In a time where time stands still, life preserved, where everything becomes perfect for 1,000 years. Trust me, it's beautiful, man. Can you imagine everything in the world gone with every negative field and every negative psychological creature that wants to conquer, debate, and divide, and using every one of those tools to live in their own bubble in some comfort zone? They can't handle the truth? Think about it. All that gone. Magnificent. You have no idea what you're coming into. But it's going to take time. And it's a process. And you're going to break free from multiple chains. You're going to go forward and think, oh, wow, I know it all now. And then you're going to hit a brick wall again. Because the voices will always try to drag you back, man. Underestimating the force of the dark is the worst thing you can do. Right? But you've got to be and understand what the 2 snakes are all about, yin and yang. You have the power, man, to bang it. And I do mean this. You have the power of creation, destruction. Your own emotion can break you into pieces, man. It's that powerful. When you have stress and anxiety, more than 50% of your immune system collapses alone. Do you know how powerful your mind is? Because your body cells are going corruption, collusion, and you take drugs and numbing cells because you can't cope. It's fucking powerful, man. More powerful than you think. And it's going to battle you to the end day. It's going to battle you non-stop with one chain after another. Every time you think you learn something, you're battling another chain. Trust me, you don't even know it's coming up behind you and sneaking right up behind your back. And you didn't even know it's coming. But it's always there. You got to be alert, alive, waking, and weird to see it coming, man. You got to feel it with your body cells, with the shiver in your spine. You got to learn how it works here. Right? You got to learn how things work. With the shiver in your spine, you can feel it, man. You can always feel it coming. Learn to feel, don't think. Break free from that BS, man. Stop using your IQ. Stop using thinking all the time with the critical thinking and coming to your own conclusion, because it's all part of deceptions. By the voices in your mind that deceives you to do that, they sound loving and compassionate with chocolates and roses. It's a personality. You convey feelings to thoughts. You're not talking to yourself. Trust me. It's voices in your mind. It's the demons. It's why you have so many different addictions in the world, and you've been conditioned so much with new culture, time after time, to normalize this behavior. Now you're that weak, you don't know what to do. But you talk shit all day and think that you do, but you don't. You really don't. Why? Because you consistently conform and comply, don't you? No matter what you're doing out there, no matter what comes out of your mouth and what you say you're going to do to save the world, you still conform and comply when you get off social media platform and stop speaking shit and texting all day. You still conform and comply. You're still entertained with the same rubbish, the vaccination, the COVID-19, the New World Order, the whole 9 yards, right? You're still non-stop entertained by the whole 9 yards, right? It's distracting you from who you are, man, from what the real truth is here, right? We now have the evidence, and they don't want you to go back. They want you stuck in a reincarnation trap in a slavery system, right? That's what they want. Because if you wake up to this and your natural organic motor skills and how to use them, you break free from all this bullshit. And you don't need the system. You stand in your own 2 feet in your own sovereignty, because God gives you that gift and provides for you, man. Right? But you don't have faith in that. He provides for you through Mother Nature, man, when you connect with it, with the right tools. You're completely oblivious to this, because you're stripped from it. You use everything that's inverted. You don't have a relationship with water, and you're 75% water. 93% of your DNA is water. It's body cells. It has a personality. I've gone into all the explanation. Talk to 2 plates of water, ugly to one, beautiful to the other. Put it in the freezer overnight. Put them out in the morning. You'll see it has a personality. And you don't even connect with it. That's why your body cells and corruption, corrosion, illusion. It's so negative in the world. Do you talk to plants and grow 10 times more nutritional value with 10 times more fruit? No, you buy from a marketing strategy where you lost 9% nutritional value and you scoff shit all day. Because you can't function in real life and you're disconnected from life, nature, and the things you know me with. You're disconnected from the mother and you're totally disconnected from the father, because you can't use your sixth sense and you can't think outside the mind. You think you can. Those that think and singing with you now the program, they have a relationship and they know how to use these tools. They learn to master their mind and not mastered by their mind with the voices in their mind. Everyone's possessed by the devil all over the world, and declared 93% of people beyond the point of return in brain-locked denial cannot think instinctively and never will again. They will follow their forefathers' footsteps, and that's what the problem is. Everyone has voice in the mind and lies about it at the same time and think they're talking to themselves. It's on every document in the world that the voice in the mind ultimately scientific extinction, and they got you by the bulls, and you keep following the voices like you follow the masses, like you follow the system, like you follow Satan, and use every one of those tools that he programmed you with, right? Psychological warfare, right? Can you stand on your own 2 feet? Can you do what I can and more? Because Jesus teaches us that, and we can do it. And if you can't do it, then what's going on with your mindset? You haven't been set free yet, haven't you? You haven't been reborn. You haven't broken free yet at all. You just keep thinking you have. The voices in the mind will keep keeping you that way. It'll keep on convincing you non-stop because you're molded in this, right? And you're not a human anymore. You're in post-human stage, and everyone will be deceived, except for the elect that knows this. And who's out there teaching you these tools? No one. And I do mean no one. Take a good look around you. No one is. You know why? Because they're suppressing the truth from you. And they don't want you to know the tools you have with your natural organic motor skills to think instinctively. So you keep thinking mentally and come to your own conclusion because you don't know how to use them. We're the only ones teaching the right tools here, how to use them and how to succeed at this and break free from this bullshit and breaking free from the reincarnation trap you're stuck in. You have amnesia. That means you don't know until you stick your head through the light of the inner tunnel, and there's a lot of rabbit holes. You've got a lot of change to break through. Don't think for 1 minute you're going to learn overnight by thinking with your tools. You've got to do it organically. You've got to do it in flesh, not by thinking all the time with more education and sit on social media platform all day and then think you know. Can you master your mind? It takes 7 years to master your mind, and you haven't even begun yet. You haven't even begun. And I just want you to know that in the time that you're really in, What are you really doing about it? Have you gone back to your moral state to use those tools? Or do you still come up with your own conclusion with reasoning on reverse psychology with high IQ? And use every tool you're embedded with and cult it into this behavior. You think too much with the voices in your mind. And you do, because you don't have faith in your own biological genes to think outside the mind with your sixth sense in the most positive fields, because you're disconnected from it, man. Doesn't that say in the basic common sense, or don't you have any? Trust me, it's the only thing around here that's going to work when you've got voices in your mind all the time. And that's on every document in the world, every psychiatrist, every doctor, and people don't get it. Because they're possessed by the devil. And it's a fact, recorded on documents all over the world. Everyone's possessed by the fucking devil. Recorded on documents. The voices in your mind are ultimately designed for human extinction, and 93% of the Western civilization is beyond the point of return. They're not human. They can't even use their moral instincts and have an intellectual conversation. That's why the care factor's going. That's why every single thing's happening in the world with your moral and incompetent decisions being made by these fucking people that are totally inverted. Right? Everyone's an icon in this world and behaves like an actor, especially social media platform. They've got fucking no idea what they're doing. They're that polarised and been polarised for the last 60 years so much they can only use those tools and can't think outside the mind. And that's what the truth is. And the truth will set you free when you understand this. No other tools in the world will work. It's never been negotiable, and it's certainly not now, I can tell you that. Trust me, God can't trust any of these fucking morons here. Right? We're the only ones succeeding people and breaking them free from amnesia and using their natural genetic modes, because in the image you're creating, and we're teaching with the top biologists and scientists in the fucking world. That's won Nobel Prizes for this. So just stop and think about that for a moment.